been working on here, plus some other things. Former Dolphins defensive end Bradley Chubb reaching an agreement on a 3-year, $43.5 million deal worth up to $52.5 million, $29 million guaranteed with the Buffalo Bills. This, of course, per Eric Burkhart of Rock Nation Sports. Dan, what do you think about this? When you heard this, you had a really good reaction just a moment ago.
Yeah, I love this for Buffalo. We talked about it, him being one of the better free agents left available. I'm sure that Buffalo was in on the conversations with Trey Hendrickson. I'm sure they were initially trying to attract Max Crosby. Pivoting to Bradley Chubb. When Bradley Chubb's healthy, he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, one of the more underrated ones in the NFL. His last two healthy seasons, 23 and 25, almost 20 sacks. Obviously, that's something that Buffalo needs. I just say this. Michael Hoyt, who was a free agent signing for them last year and who started to play really well once he came back from suspension, got hurt. Once he gets healthy, if you take him and Chubb with Ed Oliver, that defensive line with some of their young pieces is going to be much improved than it has been in the past couple of years in Buffalo.
Yeah, good move by the Bills. All right, let's read and react to some of the other moves that have happened. How about the Philadelphia Eagles? The Eagles got Reek Woolen, that deal coming down today, but you see some of the losses. I mean, Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, they had to do that. Those guys were owed a lot of money. They held on to a few key players. But, Mina, when you think about what they've done, what do you make of the moves in Philly?
Like this a lot for both sides. So Philadelphia cornerback 2 was a glaring issue last season. I think they addressed it and upgraded in a big way. Reek Woolen does have some on-the-field lapses in terms of penalties. He's given up explosives, but he also is incredibly talented. He's sticky in coverage. He makes plays on the football. He's going to get targeted a lot. Wouldn't be surprised if he comes away with picks in this Eagles defense. And then for Reek, I think this one-year deal is really a prove-it year, right? He's 26 years old, 27 maybe. There's a chance for him to get a big contract coming out of this. Chose a great destination. So to me, this just makes a ton of sense, both sides.
Let's look at New York next, where John Harbaugh brought in some familiar faces, bringing in a lot of Ravens there on this Giants roster and some of the moves that they've made, which have been pretty attractive. Isaiah Likely is one that sticks out, and then you've got Patrick Ricard, which we know he's been key to that Ravens offense many times. You see some of the losses, Wan'Dale Robinson, Cordell Flott. But, Dan, when you look at what they've done there with the Giants, Joe Shane, the GM, but really more Harbaugh specific, what do you like?
Love it. One, Isaiah Likely, just a tight end that can win on a consistent basis. The fact that they improved their defense, it's been one of the worst run defenses in the NFL over the past couple of years. The information that you can gather, also keeping Illuminor at right tackle is a really big deal because this offensive line has to continue to improve. Those are two now bookends with Andrew Thomas at left tackle for this offense. I love everything what the Giants have done this offseason.
Yeah, it makes you excited to see what Jackson Dart can do, especially with Isaiah Likely. Let's go to San Francisco. They made a big splash, bringing in wideout Mike Evans, Tampa Bay's all-time leader in most receiving categories. They also add former Patriot Vidarian Lowe, Kendrick Bourne, Jordan Elliott on their way out of the Bay, but they won't be alone. New on NFL Live, this from our 49ers reporter Nick Wagner. With the new league year set to begin today, the 49ers plan to release wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. Could happen as soon as today. Certainly soon either way. Washington, the most likely landing spot for Aiyuk, probably on a one-year prove-it deal. San Francisco expected to use a post-June 1 designation, which is why they had to wait until the new league year began. Aiyuk, expendable now that Evans is in the mix there in San Francisco. Mina, did the Evans deal make sense to you with what they already have there and the offense that they want to run?
This was probably one of my 2 or 3 favorite deals of free agency so far. I mean, it is just perfect. It almost reminds me, this can sound a little weird, of when Derrick Henry joined the Ravens in terms of taking a great productive player and almost extending his career as he gets to Evans is 32 by putting him in the exact right destination. San Francisco, the need is obvious. Mike Evans, they have needed an X receiver since Aiyuk's been missing for them. And you saw when Aiyuk played with Brock Purdy how important that could be when you have a quarterback in Purdy who, unlike previous Niners quarterbacks, was willing to throw the ball deep, downfield, outside the numbers. Even if Evans has lost a step, last year he was obviously injured, in terms of his ability to separate, he is still going to be effective in this offense because of his contested catch ability, because of what he can do in the red zone. So to me, this is just a perfect fit, perfect player. It's a very team-friendly contract. I could not love it more.
They'll be a scoring machine in San Francisco. They have been one of the better scoring offenses in the NFL since Kyle Shanahan's become their head coach and play caller, and obviously Brock Purdy becoming their starting quarterback. But we're talking about, think of the Rams last year adding Davante Adams, and really where his impact was felt the most. It was down within that 5-yard line area, 7 touchdowns within 3 yards or less. Just scoring machine. And all the other things that it opened up for their run game or Matthew Stafford with their tight ends. That's what Mike Evans is going to be. Kyle Shanahan is going to take him, put him out there by himself like Sean McVay did Davante Adams, and he's going to say, if we get one-on-one, throw it to Mike. Because there's very few corners that can check him at the line in that short space with his frame. And if not, guess what? We'll design some stuff away for a McCaffrey or a Juszczyk or a Kittle. Scoring machine.
You know, you mentioned Davante Adams. That just made me smile because you guys know how much I hate the goal line fade. And a few years ago, I looked at all the data on goal line fades and how inefficient they were. But there were a few exceptions, and Mike Evans was one of those players where it was like, all right, if you're going to throw a goal line fade, if it's Mike Evans, you can go ahead and do it. Similar to what we saw Davante Adams. It's a great comparison with the Rams this year. He caught so many fades. Now you have a player in Evans who can do that as well. He's basically like a power forward down there. I agree with you. I think he's going to be such a nightmare in the red zone for San Francisco. Yeah. And by that, you have to worry about so much else when you're playing the San Francisco 49ers offense. He's going to get a ton of one-on-ones.
Yeah, the creativity too. He's going to you don't have to be creative over here. I can be crazy creative over here.
I think Mina's going to like this number. Evans is the best in-zone target in the league over his career. 80 receptions on in-zone targets since 2014. No one else even has 70. So he's by far has been so good in that area of the field, the most important area of the field. Brandon Aiyuk. So Nick Wagner, the report I was just reading there, he was saying that potentially the Commanders on a 1-year deal. They obviously need some weapons for Jaden Daniels. What do you think about Aiyuk trying to make a return to prominence in the league? It wasn't that long ago that he's signing this big deal and
Brandon Aiyuk.
Money.
So he had the ACL 2 years ago, correct?
Yes.
So 2024, didn't play in the 2025 season. 2023, he was unbelievable.
Unreal.
And so if you in Washington, if the likely landing spot, if you can get that version of Brandon Aiyuk, you get a guy that probably is as good as Terry McLaurin. I mean, this guy, when he's healthy, he's one of the best sudden route runners, ball in his hands guys, strong body. I mean, in 2023, he had 75 catches for over 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns. That was on the heels of back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. If you get that version of him, he's healthy and he's in a happy place, you get a true starting number 1 wide receiver in Washington.
Yeah, Adam, what does the market look like for Aiyuk?
Well, first and foremost, I know it says that they're planning to release him, but I'd like to add on that they're not planning to release him anytime soon.
Okay.
They essentially have no guaranteed money left in his contract, so they can hold on to him for the time being. They could hold on to him in the draft and see if they could flip him for a pick at that point in time. They could hold on to him until June. They've paid him an awful lot of money. I don't think this is happening anytime soon, despite the report. And I think that they'll be holding on to him for a little while to see if there's any trade value at all. Washington does make a lot of sense. He played with Jaden Daniels in college. They're very close. Jaden Daniels, I'm sure, would love to play again with Brandon Aiyuk, but I don't get the sense that the 49ers are in any rush to move on from Brandon Aiyuk, even though we know eventually they will.
It's a really interesting dynamic. And Adam, I think, like, when hearing you say that, I thought to myself, yeah, a team should trade for him. I understand all of the murkiness, shall we say, over the last year, but Dan mentioned this. At his peak, he was a true number 1, and there are a lot of teams around the NFL that could use his skill set. I'm not talking about meaningful draft capital. Obviously, I'm not talking about like a first or second or third round draft pick, but why not take a shot later in the draft if you're one of those teams and just see if he can return to form?
Okay, so not an immediate timeline here, something to look toward the draft or maybe even beyond that. By the way, Aiyuk has not caught a touchdown at all since that 2023 season.
New England?
Ooh, whisper it. Say it a little.